Yeah, well, I'm excited. We do this once a month. We unearth some amazing nuggets, and I can't wait to see what we unearthed today. My name is Milana Leshinsky. I am the host of the Scalable Coach Society and the creator of Coaching Genie, the coaching platform for coaches who want to develop and deliver online coaching programs. And my co-host is Jennifer Bourne of CoachFactory.co, which is a resource site for coaches and a podcast that interviews leading industry professionals. And Jennifer and I get together once a month to talk shop, and we simply chose to let everybody else in on our conversation. So, Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's always a good time.
Absolutely. So, we decided to talk about something that is really important to coaches when it comes to growing their business, their revenue, their income streams. And it's really about how to fill your group programs with clients. That's definitely a big pain point. I always talk about how Coaching Genie is designed specifically with group coaching programs in mind, so you can deliver your programs to groups. But a lot of times people will come in and say, well, I don't know how to fill my group, and therefore I'm not ready to use Coaching Genie yet. And so that constantly becomes the topic of conversation and teaching from me. So what has been your experience like with filling group programs, Jennifer?
Well, I think the first question to ask before we even talk about filling group programs is what that actually means to people. Because when you're hearing from a coach, oh, I'm not ready for Coaching Genie yet, I can't fill my group program. My first thought is, what are you considering to be a group program? How big
Mhm.
are you trying to get? How many people are you trying to fill? What does filling your program mean to you? Number one, because let's face it, I run a group program that's full at 5 people. That I that it is very intense and I am all in on it. And so filling that is a very different dynamic than filling something where you're going for quantity. You want 100 people in that program. So
Well,
that's the first thing I thought of.
yeah. Well, technically, two people is a group, right? Or
Yeah,
two clients is a group. But I don't like that idea. I honestly don't think that it would be worth my time, my effort, my energy to run a group of two people. So I always like to get at least 12, but I've run group programs as large as 306. The
wow.
the dynamics are very different.
Yeah,
The way you work with a large group is very different. I talk about that all the time. But for most people, I think for most coaches, a group of 6 to 12 is considered filling a group program. I have my friend, wants to fill a group, and she's looking for 6 people. That she'll be happy with 6 people. It creates a nice opportunity for a
it
group
does.
environment.
It does. And so that was the first thing I thought. But the second was before you can fill a program, you kind of have to have an idea of how you're going to run that program, what's going to be included. To sell it, you have to tell somebody what they're going to get, which is really the perfect time to invest in something like Coaching Genie and get those things set up so that when the first person says yes, their experience is just as good as when the 10th person says yes, right? There's
Yeah.
all this talk about, oh, pre-sell it and then figure it out later. But it's a little different with coaching, I think, in a lot of cases, because it is so high touch and personal and transformational that every little bit of that experience matters and makes a difference and determines levels of engagement. So I think that response of saying, oh, I'm not ready for something like this kind of is like should be rethought a little bit because really in my experience and with the clients that I work with, um, the process of setting up a program in a tool like Coaching Genie also helps you get crystal clear
Yes.
on exactly what somebody gets. So it could go either way. You could write the sales page to get clear and then build it, or build it and then know exactly what your sales page or your sales message has to include. I
Yeah.
guess it depends on which one works better for how you think creatively.
That's really good points. I think that I don't like to use the word pre-selling. I know a lot of people will say you have to pre-sell it and then you create it. I don't say pre-sell. I say sell. Get people into your program, and you don't have to develop all your elements of the program before you start selling it. I also don't think you should charge less just because the program is not fully detailed out yet. It's your expertise, it's your wisdom that you are offering. So you don't need to discount just because it's the first time you're running the program. I know some people will recommend to do that. They'll call it a pilot program or an
or a
experimental
beta.
or beta program, right? I think that, I've never done that. If I decide to create a program, it's because I'm confident in my expertise on this topic. I'm not willing to discount just because it's the first time I'm running. In fact, because it is the first time, you get to help me shape the program. I have to charge you more. This is just, it is going to be more high touch, right? But you don't have to have the entire program laid out, but you do need to have enough, like you were saying, Jennifer, enough to feel confident that you know what the experience is going to be, what people are going to learn. And, we'll touch a little bit more around sales pages today, but I love the idea of creating a sales page before creating the program, because as you go through the process of creating your sales page, you will start seeing what's needed. Like, well, what are the obstacles or the objections? Oh, I better include this in the program, right? Do you ever create, I mean, I know you create sales pages for your programs. How do you recommend approaching the whole idea of having a sales page for a group program?
I think it depends on who's writing it. Right? Because let's face it, some people are really good at it. Some people, it's like pulling teeth, right? They just don't like it. It's not a skill. It's not something they enjoy. So I think part of it depends on who's creating it, who's writing it. That, right? That's why for some people, creating the program and setting it all up first helps them write that sales page
Mm,
because they're not thinking from a blank page or thinking in the abstract. But when I am writing sales pages, I have a template I work from that I've created that, right, walks through this is the formula that works, right? This is what we've tested and this is what gets conversions. But I think there's also a little bit of pressure, right? To have a fancy sales page
mm.
and have everything gorgeously designed and big, beautiful product images and the little bundles of your, computer and your workbooks and your worksheets and all the things,
Yes.
right? There's so much pressure, testimonials, all the things. But I will tell you, I filled a $12,000 coaching program with a Google Doc. I'm like, I don't have time to deal with a sales page. I want to offer this. I know that it's valuable. I wrote up the copy in a Google Doc and I shared it with my list. And I'm like, hey, no fancy sales page, no big old production. Here's the offer. It is what it is. It's either a fit or it's not. You either resonate with my message or you don't. They looked at it, people bought it, it was a success, and it was amazing, right? And that was a $12,000 offer because it's not about having the prettiest, most perfect sales page. It's about the message. Like the copy has to connect deeply with somebody in their core for them to say, I want that, right? I want that. I need that. I want to be a
Yes.
part of that. I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. I want to be in the room with those people,
But I
right? And
think
that's more powerful than anything.
It's also about all the things that you do before you make that invitation, because if somebody who is just starting their business and they are complete unknown, they don't have any reputation online or in their industry, they've never put anything out there, they don't have testimonials, they haven't had the visibility. I think it would be much harder to get a $12,000 spot filled. So it's a lot of the things that you build up to it, so that when you make the offer, people are already pre-sold. There's that word again. They're pre-sold on you, and now they're checking out your program to see if it's the right fit for them, right? So a lot of the
Yeah.
things you do prior to making the offer really matter.
Well, that's the thing. Nobody can hire you, buy from you, learn from you, get on your email list if they don't know that you exist and they don't know how you can help them. So that's the job of your marketing, of all the investment you make in marketing and branding. It is to establish a relationship and become known for what you do.
And the
So when
trust.
you do make an offer, people are like, yes, that. And I do think you can do it with a tiny list. I've seen people fill programs with lists of just a few hundred people. You only need 10 or 12 in your group. If it's the right list of people, right? And you didn't just go try to get anybody and everybody to sign up on your list, but you were intentional about how you grew your list and it's the right people. You can fill a group of 10 or 12 people with a tiny email list if the copy is aligned with them.
I agree. And I want to say more about the list, but I just also want to add, when you are building up to making the offer, it's the trust that you're building. That
Oh,
relationship
yeah.
must be. So yes, it's the right message. And yes, the person seems very knowledgeable. And yes, I want to be part of this. But can I trust this? Can I trust what the person is saying? Have they been long enough? Have they been around long enough? Um, so there is a trust factor, especially because we do mostly business online. I don't have a single local client. I don't know about you, Jennifer, but most of my clients are thousands of miles away from me. So trust becomes really important. Let's talk about the list. I think that that's really important because that's been a very controversial topic. Do you need a list, a big email list to fill a group? And if not, how do you go around it? But there's something you said that I want people to get. It's a brilliant nugget. You said if you build, if you have a small list, but you built it intentionally. In other words, you might know every single person on that list personally. That's very different. Maybe you've met them at events or you connected with them. Um, because the bigger your list is, the less you know each individual on that list, right?
Yeah.
And so then the connection, the relationship between you and the people on your list now has some distance. But if it's a small, intentionally grown list, right?
I
Then
would rather have a
yes.
tight list of the right people than a big giant list. All these
Yes.
people you see out there talking about their 25, 50, 75, 100,000 person email list. I'm like, show me your open rates, people. Show me your click through rates. When you make a call to action, what kind of conversion are you getting? Because I don't care how big your list is if 50% or more of those people aren't even engaging. Right? And oftentimes, people with small email lists, but intentionally built email lists, have better engagement, get better responses, have better click through rates. So I never want somebody to ever feel like, oh, I'm not ready to offer a group program because I don't have a big enough list. I don't have right enough. Because again, I've seen it over and over and over. People fill group programs of 10 or 12 people with lists of just a few hundred people.
Absolutely. And I think it's the closeness of the connection and relationship that you have to your list. I've seen the same thing with Facebook groups. A group with 10,000 people is not as engaged as maybe a group with 100 people who are deeply connected to the owner, to the creator of the Facebook group, as well as each other. There's just more things, and there's more intimacy and trust and things that they're working on. So for sure, size in this case, could matter, but for filling a group program with 6 to 10 people, you can do that with either list size and with other strategies as well. Jennifer, I'm going to take a pause. I just changed my name to Milana Leshinsky, coaching.genie.com. I want you to go ahead and change it on your Zoom. If you can rename it to Jennifer Bourne, coachfactory.co, so people know who they are watching. If there are any questions, please post the questions in the Facebook, because this is where we're live streaming right now. And we'll be happy to answer later on. But we're talking about how to fill a group coaching program. So one of the things that I'd like to move forward with is something that I have struggled with a little bit, and I'm curious how you do that and what you've seen out there, and that is creating a sense of urgency. Because
Yeah.
when you run a group coaching program that is ongoing, you never shut it down, you never close registration. It's just there. People can join and leave anytime, right? So what are some of the ways that you can create scarcity or urgency to increase enrollment in your group coaching programs, especially when it's a non-cohort type of group where, this is what I do is I start a group, 20 people start together, we go for 8 weeks, the group is done. Obviously, there's a start date, there's a finish date, there's a certain number of spots that I want to fill, and that's it. So there's natural scarcity, but what do you do with non-cohort group types? So I'm curious how you deal with that, Jennifer.
Yeah. Cohorts make it easy. I mean, we start tomorrow. It
Yeah.
drives everybody to get in. But when there isn't that drive, when you're offering an evergreen solution that somebody can jump in at any time, the dynamics do change, and you have to get a little more creative with scarcity and urgency. Now, that doesn't mean make it up, do make it fake and trick people, because that is the fastest way to make somebody angry, right? When we're like, you better sign up, like we're running out of space. No, you're selling an evergreen program. You're not running out of space, you liar. That is the fastest way to erode trust with someone, is to lie about your scarcity or urgency. So never do that. Instead, what you want to do is create real scarcity and urgency. It's kind of like uh when I worked primarily with clients, and I travel a lot. We go on a lot of trips. So what I noticed is every time I would tell clients, "Hey, I'm going to be out of the office for a week." Like, if you don't get me this stuff by this date, it's got to wait till I get back. All of a sudden, everything I've ever waited on in my entire life got done before I left, because nobody wanted to wait. My being out of the office created this false sense of urgency for them that felt very real. So I feel like it's about giving people reasons to jump in, mini deadlines, but real mini deadlines. So maybe you're having a sale that's only 1 or 2 days. Maybe you're like, I love my list. I love my community. I am doing a Valentine's Day 1 day only sale, and I'm going to get people in. Or if you don't want to discount your price, because I love you so much, everybody that joins on Valentine's Day is going to get an extra bonus, an extra free thing today, right? Something special. So you can do that on all kinds of holidays, made up holidays, you name it. But so one way is to leverage a giveaway, a discount, a limited time offer, a special bonus, a gift, something like that. The other is to highlight what's going on in your program. For example, if you run a group program that brings in guest experts, I often sit in other people's coaching programs as a branding expert or a copy and messaging expert, and share my expertise that way. Those coaches promote that out, right? They will email their list and say, "Oh my gosh, this week in this program, I am bringing in this expert. I'm bringing in Jen, and she's going to talk about X, Y, and Z, branding, copywriting, messaging, whatever it is." So they're highlighting on Tuesday, this is what we're doing in this program. If you sign up now, you can join us live and be there to ask questions. I mean, you can join at any time and get the replay, but you don't get to ask questions, right? Join us today. So anytime you have a live component where there's Q&A, a guest expert, anything like that, post that. That is something to share in your email. That's something to share on social media. That is something to talk about in your stories or to be in reels and say, oh my gosh, like today, Wednesdays is the day I do live Q&A for one of the programs that I run. And if right now I'm rejiggering that program, so I'm not selling it. But if I was selling it right now, I would be on all of my social media accounts this morning saying, oh my gosh, today is my favorite day of the week. It's the day that I do live Q&A in Profitable Project Plan, right? If you join today, you can join me live. We can connect. You can ask me questions about your business and you can get live on the spot coaching.
I love all those ideas. And as I was listening to you, I'm thinking, what would I do? I don't actually have an evergreen group coaching program because I love the idea of cohorts. But, I'm a teacher. So my brain immediately goes, what could I teach? Or how do I teach? How do I position my teaching in the program? So I came up with this idea that I love. If I were to have an evergreen program, this is what I would do. A group coaching program may not have like an ongoing curriculum. Maybe you have like 8 modules of training that you want everybody to go through when they join, but and it's always available to your group of people. But what if a few times a year you run that as a live coaching program so that you deliver the actual material or training or course as a live cohort? So now it becomes a hybrid between an evergreen and a cohort. People who've been in your program for a while, they can jump into the cohort and enjoy the live experience of learning that material. And that gives you a reason to promote it to the rest of the people. Like,
It
hey,
also gets you faster testimonials
and
because you're guiding somebody through it.
exactly, exactly. So exactly, that's what you just said. You'd be guiding people through your material, not just throwing it at them and making it available 24/7, but you're walking them through it. So that would be an idea that I would implement. I would also probably come up with any relevant and hot topic master classes. And I would say, hey, if you are a member of my group, next week, I'm teaching this topic. So if you join by next week, you will
Yeah.
experience that. And I think you were sharing similar ideas with slightly different twists. So there's definitely ways to
Well,
create that scarcity.
yeah. And you can do that even if you don't go live. Like I used live sessions and guest experts and things like that as an example. But even if you're running a pure evergreen program, right, and you want to fill that and create that scarcity or urgency,
Mhm.
uh, you can talk about, right, each week you can say, oh my gosh, right, here's a testimonial from somebody that went through and the thing that they're talking about is covered in lesson 2, right? If you sign up today, you could be going through the same content that drove this success or this transformation or this thing that they implemented by the end of the day, right? It's not necessarily saying, hey, I'm introducing scarcity or urgency. It's
Mhm.
saying, hey, you want this, right? If you take action today, look at these results. If you take action today, you could be on your way to having those same results by the end of the day, right? And for the right person, they're going to be all in.
I
And
think
those testimonials are absolutely critical to
totally.
selling any kind of group program.
Testimonials and success stories,
Yeah.
case studies, anything like that. But what we just shared, Jennifer, it's not just about scarcity, it's about creating consistent visibility. If you
Yeah.
are running a group coaching program that is evergreen and people, where I call it rolling enrollment, where people can sign up anytime,
Mm-hmm.
marketing it with all these little different touches that we just like, just a gold mine of ideas. Hopefully, like go back and listen to it again, because I think there was a lot of ideas as well. For the sake of time, I want to ask you one last question because we can go on this. I know you have a group program. I do group coaching programs. So I want to talk about the pricing and when you actually share the price, because that's always been an interesting conversation between me and my clients. And my group programs are typically $9.97. That's my sweet spot pricing. And I invite people to join the program on the webinar. So webinar is my vehicle for talking about the program or teaching the topic and then introducing the program. Now, what if your program is high ticket? And to me, high ticket is $2,000 and above, right? Do you reveal the price point right on the webinar? Do you invite people to have a conversation first? Do you invite them to apply with an application fee? Or $9.97 seems to be a no-brainer on the webinar. Like, here's how much it costs. Join or don't join. You make the decision based on the price point. $9.97 in the business industry, it's not considered high ticket. So 2K and
Yeah.
above, like what do you do? What would you recommend, Jennifer?
That's a really good question. And I think one, there is no solid, this is the answer.
Thank you.
Because there is not, because several dynamics come into price tolerance, right? What somebody's willing to pay. So there's a lot of dynamics that go into that. But the biggest is who you're selling to and where they're at in their buying journey. So if your audience, if the people that you have cultivated on your email list, the people that you're marketing to, the people that you're connected to, if the message of your copy is written for somebody who is success minded and used to investing in themselves and investing in personal development and growth, they are going to much more easily say yes to a higher ticket offer. So tossing out a price in that audience, they're like, thank you for not wasting my time and just telling me what it is. This sounds great. Let's do it. Right? It's that. I'm sure you've heard people say, hey, you sell the $500 client, and they're like, I have 1,000 questions and 85 demands. And I sell the $5,000 client, and they're like, yep, that looks good. Let's go. Right? It's a whole different dynamic. So it depends on who you're selling to, where they're at in their buying journey, how comfortable they are, and how often they have in the past invested in personal growth and professional development. So all of that plays a role. I think it also depends on how big you want your program to be, right? So if you are trying to get anybody, you're like, I'll take anybody who signs up. This is evergreen. You buy it, you go through it on your own. I just do live Q&A once a week. Whoever shows up, shows up. I answer questions. Well, then you might want to throw the price out there. But if you're like, no, this is a high touch group. We are masterminding, we're sharing, we're engaging. The people in the group matter. The dynamics of who's in that group matter. I want to vet people. Like, I don't want to just take anybody. I want to verify where they're at in their business journey or where they're at in terms of revenue and experience. I want to make sure that this is going to be a fit and a good cohesive group. Well, then you're going to need to have an application and probably a conversation. So it kind of depends on some different dynamics of what that program looks like. I sell a program for $2,000. It has traditionally been cohort based, although I'm switching it to not be. But I put the price on the sales page and I sell that on the sales page. It's $2,000. People buy it and I fill it every year. So I don't have a problem with that one, but I have a disgusting amount of amazing testimonials that speak to hesitancy of thinking, I wasn't sure about this. It kind of felt expensive. I mean, I've done other courses before and they didn't work. So I didn't know, but I bit the bullet. And oh my God, this was the best thing I've ever done. Those testimonials that speak to hesitancy and then success are magic. So in some cases, I put that right on the page. When I filled that $12,000 offer coaching program with a Google Doc, I put the price right in there. I'm like, it is either a fit or it's not. It's $1,000 a month. Take it or leave it. Like, and if you're not
Mhm.
there, that's okay.
It
Like,
ne it never felt right to me when people were, I was in programs where they would train me to hold off the price until the person is on the call with you.
I get so mad at that. I'm like, don't
It,
waste my time.
I guess the thinking I think behind that is maybe there are multiple offers that you can make. You don't know what the right offer is for that particular client, but if you throw out the price and they see it and they say no, that's it. They're done, they leave. But if you get them on the call and you listen to their challenges, you might say, you know what? I do have a $12,000 program, but I also have something for $6,000 that might fit you even better. Or I have this long, year-long program that also comes with my team or whatever it is. So it kind of gives the options. But generally, I'm not comfortable personally getting on a call with somebody without knowing the price point first. And
Same. I'm like, I
it,
want to know what I'm getting into before I
I
waste your time or my time.
and in reverse, I also don't want to, it feels a little bit not deceitful, but it doesn't feel transparent and it doesn't give me the
Yeah.
confidence to talk to
I
the
don't ever want somebody to feel tricked. Or I
right.
also don't ever want to put someone in the uncomfortable position of thinking, I should have never booked this. I can't afford this.
Yes. I
Right?
I want to give you an exception though. I recently, about a year and a half ago, purchased the program. I got on a call without knowing the price because I trusted the person just wanted to talk to me. I wasn't ready to buy. I already decided in my mind, this is a huge lesson. So please listen. If you're watching, please listen to what I'm about to say. I wasn't ready to buy. I was ready not to buy. That like I decided that this is not,
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to afford it. And then the guy was selling, he was describing what if you could achieve this and this and this. He was guiding me through a process of imagining, envisioning the results that of course, I wanted those results. And I, in my head, built it up. This is going to be a $25,000 program, 25 to 50, because, look who is running this program. He is a star. It's going to be a very high ticket program. When he gave me the price point of $8,000, I was on the floor and I said, I'm in. So what happened was
Yeah.
he did a really great job building up the value of the program, making me envision the results that I deeply desired, and made it seem, and whatever the owner, the coach, the head coach of the program did prior to the call is position it in a way that it seemed like it's going to be very, very high ticket program, but it wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
$8,000 is a high ticket for most people, but in my mind at that moment get the results, it seemed like very doable. Oh my God, for a whole year of access to the coaching, the information, the insights, the industry specific training, $8,000. I am in, no questions. Here's my credit card.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience from both sides for me.
Well, and it speaks to trust. It
Yes.
speaks to personal connection and high touch. It speaks to that coach's ability to know who he's talking to and tap into the right messaging for you. And that can be applied in your marketing and in your sales copy, right? It goes back to, again, pretty design and an expensive sales page didn't necessarily sell you on that program. It
No.
was the message, right? It was how he talked about that program
And
and
the
how he
positioning.
tailored it and positioned it for you.
Yes.
And that is something that any coach can do. It's one of the things that we help people figure out how to do at Motivation Code with the motivational dimensions, right? When you understand what motivates someone to action, when you understand what motivates them to make a decision and move forward, to engage and drive forward, even when things are hard and achieve their goal, you can tailor your messaging and your communication to speak right to that person. It's why you'll find, if you look closely, some of the most successful online businesses have several calls to action sprinkled throughout their websites, but they're only selling one offer.
Yes.
They just position it differently depending on what page you're on and who they're talking to on that page, what the message of that page is. So in one part of the site, they're leaning into messaging all about this benefit. And another part of the site, they're leaning into messaging around a different benefit. Same offer, different positioning. It's all about meeting your potential client where they're at with the right messaging and shaping your pitch to fit them so they see and understand the value that you are able to provide and how you're able to help them achieve the transformation that they're looking for, or to bridge the gap that is in front of them and holding them back from the thing that they want the absolute most. So his ability to sell you, that that is him reading the room, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anybody can learn that and apply that to your sales page, to your marketing, to your emails. And it also speaks to his prep. You knew this person, you trusted them, you likely were connected with them online, had followed the things they were doing, you knew they were an industry expert. One of the reasons why I love Instagram is you can go to any coach's Instagram who's really active on that platform, and you can scroll through their feed and you can see exactly what they've launched, because their Instagram feed will go in little chunks where several rows, all the posts will be about a certain topic. And then you see like 9 or so posts that are all offers. They're all offering something on that topic. And then the topic changes. And the next block of images, reels, and everything are all about
Mm.
a different topic. They're setting the stage, building trust, piquing interest, getting people paying attention, and then swooping in with a perfect match, highly relevant, timely offer. And you can see this play out. Just go to any major coach's Instagram that it is really active on that platform and scroll, and you will see content, pitch, change the
Offer.
topic. Content,
Yeah.
pitch, change the
Very cool.
topic.
I don't actually use Instagram, but that's really fascinating
I
to
love
hear.
that
One of these
platform.
days, I'm gonna just sit down and interview and pick your brain on Instagram, because it sounds like you are a lot more knowledgeable, probably using it. My Instagram account consists of the rocks I paint, which my daughter started for me, because she felt like my painted rocks should have its own Instagram account. Jennifer, we need to wrap up, but this was just a delightful conversation. Before we wrap it up, I want us each to kind of share real quick what makes what we do unique, special, and different. So, what makes coachfactory.co unique and different? I'll start with mine. Coaching Genie is a coaching platform for coaches who like the idea of high touch, low maintenance programs. Coaching Genie is piece of software that actually will elevate the value of your coaching programs, because you can personalize, customize, increase the level of connection and intimacy that you have in your coaching programs without it taking a whole lot of your time. So, plus it's super simple. That's the number one keyword that we get from our customers is simplicity. Is the easiest platform I've ever used. So easy to set up. So that's what makes Coaching Genie special and unique. And if you want to learn more, go to coachinggenie.com. Jennifer, what makes coachfactory.co special and unique?
I think the biggest thing that sets Coach Factory apart is that it gives you a behind the scenes peek. If you have ever gone on a factory tour and been taken behind the wall where the store is in the front, you get to see how the jelly beans are made, or how the beer is made, or how the nuts are processed, or whatever it is. The premise behind Coach Factory is taking you behind the scenes of successful coaching businesses and figuring out what works, right? What hard lessons did you learn? What challenges did you overcome? What worked and what didn't work? And how can we share that? Coach Factory was created by our other company, Motivation Code, because the majority of our customers are coaches that use the motivation code assessment in their coaching practices to better understand their clients and help them get better results. Many of us are coaches, or we are always working with coaches ourselves, and we believe in the transformational power of coaching. It changes lives, it changes businesses. And because we do it, because we pay for it and invest in it, and we love it, we invested in Coach Factory as a resource to help more coaches see success and to help pull back the curtain on other coaching businesses. So we interview amazing coaches for our podcast, and they're so generous with their time and efforts. And it just is a wealth of knowledge.
And did we say that it's free? It's a free resource?
And it's totally free.
It's free.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to talk to you today. I know we could go on
Same.
for hours. This is why we only do this once a month. So we could get all of our wisdom and expertise and experience into a small chunk of a recording here. But I love creating content with you. I think that this is a great example where two minds come together to share expertise from different perspectives. And you and I are very different in how we do things, which is why I think it's interesting to talk with you.
Yeah.
And hopefully people will learn a lot from this. So thank you so much again. We'll see you next month, everybody. This is Milana and Jennifer.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.